Linux. This shit's old. Linux is 33 years old, turning 34 in September, meaning that this kernel had 33 years of updates and systems using this kernel had a bunch of years to get good. So why do we have this as an issue? The rant out of the way, the real reason I'm making this video is because Windows 10 is supposedly gonna die in October 14th, 2025. Not surprising though, the system is basically 10 years old. But now we have a problem. Windows 11 hates old hardware and people need a secure operating system. So what's the alternative if you can't buy a $1,200 laptop? Well, you slap Linux on it.
Gentlemen?
Let's start by saying that Linux is not Windows. So programs like MS Office and Adobe software will not work on it. Except maybe MS Office in reality, but I'll talk about that later. So you'll need to find alternative to those programs. Don't worry, we have some for you. Also, installing software is not like Windows at all. It's actually simpler in my opinion. And finally, rm-rf/ does not remove the French language package. It deletes your entire system. That's out of the way. How do we start with installing Linux? Well, just know that installing a new OS will delete all your files. So before going head first into Linux, back up your files into a trusted file cloud, or even better, an external drive.
Shall we?
Then we'll choose our system. Depending on our needs, we'll need one or the other, but a common household would be good enough with going for an Ubuntu based distro and flavor. Hold. What are distros? Distros or Linux distributions are systems that share the Linux kernel. This is Linux, more or less, the kernel, the core of the entire system that should not be touched by a third-party software manufacturer. Riot! A distro uses this kernel to build their system. Arch Linux, Ubuntu, Solus, and even Gentoo are considered distros because they use the same kernel, but are fundamentally different. While flavors are different editions of the same distro. Ubuntu is the main culprit of this. Now that that is clear, I think, an Ubuntu-based distro will get you started. Ubuntu itself is good enough, but it's really different from Windows in aesthetics. So Linux Mint, being the community's favorite, will be the safest option for someone coming from Windows. But just know that depending on your hardware, the actual PC running your stuff has to be powerful enough. If you struggle with using Ubuntu normally, you might wanna try one of their flavors. Ubuntu and Ubuntu being the lightest. Linux Mint is light enough for a lot of devices, so I wouldn't be too worried, but you could always try their XFCE or their Mate editions of the system. Okay, we've chose the system. Now what? Well, we gotta try it. You can use a virtual machine for starters. You can use VMware Player or VirtualBox for this. Or if you want to try using real hardware, we'll need to back up all your files. Grab a flash drive we're not using, an 8GB drive will suffice. The disk image of the distro we'll use, and the program we'll use to flash that image to the flash drive. Then we can try the system. With the program, the system's ISO, and our flash drive on hand, connect the flash drive, open the program we'll use, in our case Balena Etcher, and select in the program the ISO of our system, in this case Linux Mint. Select the flash drive in the program and start flashing. When the process is done, keep it in the computer you want to install the system. This is the last warning. You'll lose all your files in that computer when you install the new system. So be sure to make a backup of the files you want to keep. Restart your PC and enter the single boot options. In every PC is different, so search for your PC brand and single boot the menu key on the internet. When you get it, repeatedly hit that key until it brings you to that menu. Then select the flash drive with the system in it, and when another menu shows up, select the live environment of that system. Then you'll get greeted with the system's desktop environment. Welcome to Linux! If you want to see if you like the system, you can always try the pre-installed software that you see in the live environment. I wouldn't install software on it because it won't keep it and it probably wouldn't run well, because it's not using the full extent of your PC. But just try what you already have in that system. When you decide that yes, you want to use that system, open the installation program and follow the steps. Even though the steps are pretty straightforward, there is one step a little complex: the formatting and partitioning section of the install. Here I suggest a specific partitioning style, but that gets really technical. Learning about partitions, formats, and partition tables is really complex, but if you want me to make a video dumbing it down, let me know in the comments and I'll try to make one. Anyways, let's just choose the delete the entire disk option and move on. Verify that everything you choose is correct in the installation summary, and if everything is good, proceed with the installation of the system. Then we'll wait a lot.
Oh, please.
You know, just go grab a coffee or a tea or, I don't know, peppies. When it finishes, click on the done button and restart the PC. It'll tell you to unplug the flash drive, so do that and then press enter. When that's done, the PC will reboot and boot you into the new system. After you update your system when it prompts you to, run the driver update program and select the correct drivers if you're using NVIDIA. Here you'll just have to enjoy your system as normal. Use Firefox for web browsing, use LibreOffice for your document processing needs, or even install Discord or Steam. But there are some things I'll need to address first. That goes to what I said earlier. This is not Windows. Installing programs is different here, but once you know about it, you'd want this to be better than Windows. Here we have this software center, being the way we install software in Linux, or the terminal emulator if you hate using your mouse. Just search for the software you need, for example Chrome. Select the Flatpak version and click install. Then we wait for it to install and boom! We have a second web browser on our PC. Wait. Little lesson in Linux, there's this thing called a package manager. This is what handles all the software in our system. Debian and Ubuntu uses apt for its packages. Every other distro that uses Ubuntu and Debian as a base also uses apt. But we also have .deb files, app images, snaps, and flatpaks. Flatpak is a kind of a universal package manager. I don't know the logistics around it, but it's the desired option for programs. Why? Well, these programs run in some form of container. If a Flatpak update breaks, it won't be a pain somewhere else. It'll just break in its own space. Or at least that's what I've seen. So if you want something a little bit more stable and in its own world, go with Flatpaks. This is when you'll get your apps together. Your web browser of choice, your files in the system. Now we need the rest of our software. And where the fuck is Photoshop? Okay, sad news, although I think it's good news. Adobe software does not support Linux. Instead, we'll use alternatives. Here we'll go to uncharted territory for Windows users, because we'll need one of two things, or both: a compatibility layer or another program. If you absolutely need a Windows program, you'll need to install Bottles. This lets you run some Windows programs in Linux. This is how I'm able to play Bloodstrike in my PC, despite it not having a Linux launcher. Some programs are supported under Wine, but some aren't, like League of Legends, Valorant, and obviously Adobe Crapware. So if you need Photoshop, for example, you could try using GIMP for a free software. Doesn't mean that it's good. Utopia if you want to use a web browser version, or if you want the best option, you could go with Affinity Photo. Matt's Creative made a video on a script someone made that helps you to install Affinity software in Linux, so I'll leave that in the description. If you need MS Office, you should use LibreOffice or OnlyOffice if you want a more Windows vibe to your Office suite. And if you need a video editor, you could go with Kdenlive for something kinda simple, or for a more powerful alternative, you should go for DaVinci Resolve. Now, I don't know exactly what software you need, but don't worry, you can always search the web for what program and how to run it in the system you're using. Some posts will be old and a little technical, so search for videos about it. There is plenty of information out there. Theme the shit out of it if you want. Change the wallpapers, search for themes in the web, change the icons, heck, make the cursor whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with your system. So feel free to make the PC and your system yours. So, what's the end goal? Do you need one? Using a computer is a step for us. Using Linux shouldn't be a gotta learn or need a new goal kind of experience. This is just a tool. But if you want to learn more about Linux, this is the step in the right direction. After you learn more about formats and package managers and stuff, you'll want to change systems. You'll try all sorts of distros. You'll go from Ubuntu to Fedora or Manjaro, or directly Arch if you're dumb enough like me. You'll start changing stuff to make it more you. Linux is a really extensive place, so join communities, navigate forums, and experiment with virtual machines. You'll find that your end goal when learning about Linux is whatever you want. I know that for me, the end goal has already arrived. And it was to make Arch Linux a system I would enjoy using. What will yours be? Only time will tell. Or not, I don't know, I'm not a sage.